This is Fedor.
And this is Ross.
And we're coming to you from cheapwatchreviews.com.
And also follow us on Twitter by going to our website first and looking up our Twitter account.
We won't tell you what our Twitter account is because it's a challenge.
It's a secret. So today we're going to be looking at the Tissot Quadrato chronograph watch.
Yeah, to start off, I guess it kind of looks big, doesn't it?
Yeah, I would say so. It's a big looking watch. It's got very geometric square face. What's your point?
My point is that it's 40 millimeters. That's actually not that huge. So it actually looks a little bit larger than it actually is, which is not a bad thing. So it has a good amount of wrist presence. Now, it's 12 millimeters in thickness, which it actually also looks like it's thicker than, which is sort of bizarre. And when you look at it head on, how did you describe it to me?
It looks like a surprise robot.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's all I can think of. I don't know what robots actually sound like. So, we'll move on. It's got a polished stainless steel case. We've got 100-meter water resistance and an engraved case back. So here, let me go ahead and show that real quick.
Yep, there you go. A little bit of engraving on there, nothing too fancy. So as you can probably tell, this is definitely a sports style watch, accented by the rubber strap. It's got an embossed non-screw down crown, and it has the chrono pushers at the 1 and 4 o'clock, pretty typical of most chronograph watches. Now in terms of the movement, it does have a Swiss movement, but don't get too excited, it's quartz.
Yeah. We at Cheap Watch Reviews do like all watches. However, we're very partial to mechanical movements just because of their special feel and their nostalgia. So in any case, as Ross had mentioned, it does have a rubber strap, which is misleading because it's a dive strap for the most part and used on dive watches, and this in fact is a sports watch. So when the rubber strap is put on, you're basically reduced to wearing this sort of watch, well, any watch really, in a casual situation. So you're definitely not going to be putting this on with your suit. I mean, you can, but I personally would not.
I might, but then again, I beat to my own drum. It's good to know that this watch does also come with, you can get a bracelet for it, which don't have with us, but we did have a friend who picked one up, and it seemed pretty nice. You know,
actually,
about what you'd expect.
Yeah.
Solid end links, you know.
It was a quality piece.
Definitely a quality piece. As we mentioned before, it is a chronograph, so it does have 3 sub-dials. Seconds, which is kind of the typical seconds. Chrono minutes, which is the color-coded yellow. Chrono milliseconds, which is also color-coded yellow. And then date between the 4 and 5 o'clock.
And the reset's actually kind of cool because it does this nice sweeping motion all the way around. But as with most quartz watches, we've got that annoying tick tock. Gives me nightmares.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't have that nice, smooth, fluid, sweeping second hand that we like so much. The clasp is a machined fold-over clasp with some decorative engraving. Not a bad clasp, especially for what you're paying, you know, for this watch.
It is machined, so that puts it in definitely a higher price range and price bracket compared to some of the other watches that are in this price range.
Yep, and when you get it with the stainless steel bracelet, it does have a butterfly deployment, which is pretty cool too if you've ever seen one of those. Now in terms of the dial, it has a slightly domed sapphire crystal, so it is a sapphire crystal, which is nice. It has the Arabic numbers, applied chrome indices. It has this very geometric chapter ring, which you'll see kind of around the edge, kind of really gives it that geometric feel. And it has a lot of texture to it. Actually, if you look at the center dial, I don't know if we can catch the light right, but it does have kind of a bit of a cross hatching there that gives it a lot of depth, which is visually interesting.
The one thing I must notice, though, I've been wearing this watch for a couple of years now, and to be quite honest, it's served me incredibly well. I've been very happy with it, but it is a little bit difficult to tell the time because of the unusual shape and its square geometric layout. It makes it a little bit more difficult to see what time it is when it's in the corners. And I know it sounds sort of petty, but when you're just glancing over at the watch quickly and you need to be able to tell time, you end up staring at it for a little bit longer. So over the 2 years that I've been wearing it, I've probably lost about a minute and a half of my life due to this watch.
And you'll never get that back.
Oh, I never.
Yeah, and when it comes to my gripes about this watch, and I'll be honest, there's a lot of them. Legibility is probably number one. The chrome labeling and the chrome indices, they're really hard to see in the light, which is one of the things that if you're wearing a watch, you probably want to know what time it is. And it takes a little bit more time just to figure it out. And by that time, it's a different time. So where does that leave you?
Oh, that leaves us with the conclusion that while we really do like the watch, it would probably be better suited on a different strap, because with the rubber strap, it kind of sends mixed signals. Since it's not a dive watch, it is a sports watch. So you're not going to be diving with it. So the rubber band is kind of a bit of out of place.
Yeah, it's a little goofy, but there's some really cool things about this watch if you like the style. There's very few watches I think that look, kind of really capture the style for about the price here. Tissot is a good brand. They make some nice watches, and even though this is quartz, there's some, pros to having a quartz watch. So,
it's incredibly accurate, super reliable. You get an excellent Tissot warranty, and it is, like we said, a very reputable brand. So, overall, though, it's definitely a fun watch to own.
I agree, even though I haven't owned one.
I have. Ha ha ha! Goodbye.